And I'm sure that over my lifetime I had seen many moments on screen of Dr. King. I'm sure that they had probably shown some videos or talked about him or whatever. But for some reason, in the 7th grade, my mind appears ready for a monumental download that a child would never fully understand. And that is, in that moment, they showed Martin Luther King on video. I said quietly to myself, that's what I want to be. It was the first time that I had ever imagined being anything in life. Coming from a home where my father was not present, coming from a home where my mother was quite frequently absent, and a community that was pretty ravaged with drugs, alcohol. Although there were amazing people there, I had no image to look at. But that day, I see an image that I don't fully understand, but it resonates with my spirit to say, that's what I want to be. I want to tell you today that what Dr. Martin Luther King spoke of then still challenges the way we think today. When we hear the name Martin Luther King, many of us think, oh, I already understand him, and we make him this prominent figure outside of us on a bronze statue in video, when in essence who Dr. Martin Luther King really is he's on the inside of each of us, and all of us are a part of what made him great and what will continue to make America great. We picture this man frozen in history. These black and white photos, a famous dream, a national holiday, someone who played it safe, someone who settled, but no, Dr. King never played it safe. He never settled. And on that day in 1979, he changed the way a little boy believed about himself. He changed my ideas of what I thought was possible. He took me out of poverty in that moment that I didn't understand. That 1979 would be the day that I would no longer say I'm poor, that I would no longer say I'm nobody, that I would no longer say what's not possible. He was downloading in me on that day power. He was downloading in me on that day opportunity. But most of all, he was downloading in me that there's no such thing as a small moment, only a small thought and the way you think. It may have been a small moment in a classroom, but it has birthed what you're sitting in today. And it is because Dr. King is not outside of us. He's inside of each of us. And every dream, and every vision, and every opportunity that is afforded you, remember that the dreamer planted the seed in each of us. And so no, he's not a man in history. He's not a man in black and white photos. He's the man and the woman in each of us that wakes up every morning. We get up to take care of our families. We get up to go to work. We get up to make sure our children are well fed. We warm our houses. We clean our houses. And he reminded us that whatever we do, we should do it to our best. And so there's no such thing as I'm just a small person. I'm just nobody. I'm just whatever you do. If you do it with the mindset of the dreamer, then you are great in that. And so, Dr. Martin Luther King still challenges the way we think today, because he's a reminder that it takes all of us. It takes each of us, all of our skills, all of our know-how, waking up that morning, saying good morning, to ensure that this country lives out her promises, because she has no choice, because we're going to hold her accountable. So thank you guys so much. Well, I'm super excited about those who will be giving these amazing talks today. Our first talk will be coming from Katisha Sagers Anderson, and somebody my wife really cares deeply for. And she's going to be talking to us about how faith shapes the leaders we grow into. So, did you want to? We're cool with that? Okay. All right. So, without further ado, we'll have Miss Anderson come and do her talk. Come on, let's give her.
So many people on the boat, but they won't get off. They hear the truth but don't move. Faith ain't fake till you step. Come on.
You want the chorus of this?
So many people on the boat but won't get off. They won't take the medicine even though they cough. Living on the water but afraid to sink. Living in confusion, can't even think. Say they got faith, but I don't.
The power of becoming, how faith shapes the leaders we grow into. Most of the moments that changes don't come with a microphone. They don't announce themselves. They don't feel inspirational when they're happening. They usually feel confusing or heavy or silent. For me, one of those moments came when a business I poured years of my life into caught on fire. Before the fire, I had already been praying for something I didn't quite have the words for or the language for. I had built a business that looked successful on the outside, but on the inside, it was controlling me instead of serving me. I knew something was off. I just didn't know how to fix it. So I prayed for a reset. Not a dramatic one, not a painful one. Just clarity, space. And then the fire happened. And in that moment, I thought I failed. It felt like a failure at first. I felt it was a loss. Like everything I had worked for had been taken from me. But with time and perspective, I realized something. What I thought was an ending was actually the reset that I had prayed and asked for. It gave me space that I wasn't able to create on my own. Space for personal growth. Space for prayer. Space to rethink not just what I was building, but how I was living. And that's when I began to understand something about faith and leadership that changed everything for me. Sometimes the reset we pray for doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in disruption. And it forces us to ask a deeper question. Not what am I building, but who am I becoming while I build it? We talk a lot about leadership as something we do. What are you leading? Who are you leading? What are you building? What are you launching? What are you fixing, managing? But faith doesn't start there. Faith is far more intentional and interested in who we're becoming than what we're producing. Because long before we stand in front of people, long before we influence anything, we are being shaped quietly, consistently, often, invisibly. Every season is forming us. We talk a lot about leadership as something we do. As I said earlier, because long before we stand in front of people, long before we influence anything, we are being shaped quietly, consistently, often, invisibly. Every season is forming us. Every disappointment is shaping us. Every response is reinforcing something. So the real question isn't, am I a leader? The question is, who am I becoming while I'm leading? And the more I paid attention to this, the more I realized this isn't just my story. I see it everywhere. I see it in pastors who are trying to shepherd people through uncertainty while holding on to their own questions. I see it in educators who are showing up every day, not just to teach content, but to be stability. I see it in creatives who feel called to imagine something new, but aren't always sure the world is ready. I see it in entrepreneurs and professionals who are innovating inside systems that weren't designed with them in mind. And here's what I've learned. Change does not create leaders. Change reveals them. It shows us who we've been becoming all along. And faith, real faith, doesn't just help us survive change, it forms us for it. But let's be honest, becoming isn't comfortable. It doesn't feel polished. It doesn't come with applause. It almost never looks the way we imagined it would. Sometimes becoming feels like losing something before you gain anything. Sometimes it feels like standing in the middle without clarity, without certainty. And faith will often ask us to release identities that once kept us safe. The version of ourselves that knew how to perform. The version that knew how to hold everything together. The version that knew how to be strong even when it was costly. Sometimes what burns in our lives isn't punishment, it's clarification. Clarifying what we built out of fear. Clarifying what we built out of approval. Clarifying what can't come with us into the next season. On a day like today, as we honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, I think this matters even more. Because he didn't lead forward because circumstances were easy. He didn't speak because it was safe. He was formed long before he was followed. His leadership wasn't just strategic, it was spiritual, rooted. It was disciplined. Everything we lead begins to carry integrity. He understood something we sometimes forget, that real influence doesn't come from volume, it comes from alignment. And that kind of leadership is forged long before the spotlight ever shows up. So as you think about leadership, about faith, innovation, and influence, I want to offer you a question. Not one to answer right now, just one to sit with. Who are you becoming in this season? Not who you're trying to prove yourself to, not who you're trying to protect, but who is being formed underneath everything you're doing. Because the future isn't waiting on more impressive leaders. It's waiting on more grounded ones. It isn't waiting on louder voices. It's waiting on clearer ones. And it isn't waiting on people who have it all figured out. It's waiting on people who are willing to let faith do its quiet shaping work. The power of becoming is this. When we allow faith to shape us, everything we lead begins to carry integrity. And that, more than anything we build, is how we lead forward in a changing world. Thank you.
Thank you so, thank you so much. You know, I heard that word safe. And one thing about the life that Ms. Anderson has led, it has not been a safe life. She's a business founder, keynote speaker. Is owner or leading anything safe. We got to take risks. So this is an amazing time that we're having today. You know, one of the things as we get ready for our next speaker, I was studying a little bit this morning, thinking about who Dr. Martin Luther King was. And there's a word that came to mind, which was focused. And I think, you know, clearly we can get all the theological and all of the ideas about justice and fairness out of who Dr. King was, and that's an easy reach because it's prevalent. But I think there are some characteristic traits that he taught us in his life that we could be educated, acted. And I think one of the issues so many people have today with success or in success is they're too distracted. There are too many competing forces outside of what our purpose is. And I think Dr. King showed us that if a man or a woman is focused, not distracted, keeping their eyes on the goal, anything is possible. So thank you so much, Katisha, for an amazing talk. Thank you again. Our next talk will come from Jason B. Allen. And Jason is the National Partnership Director for the National Parents Union. He has worked in education for more years than I ever would. If he did a day, he did more time than I ever would. 19 years. Stretch your hand towards him. As a teacher, administrator, and leader, serving students, families, and communities. A long-time storyteller, Jason shares his experiences through his company, Educational Entities LLC, which includes the Educator's Voice blog, Students for Equity, I Win Morning Show, and Lily's Foundation. He's a longtime advocate for male engagement and doing the work of elevating black male teachers and educators' voices to order to help increase the number of male educators or color in classrooms and boardrooms. And then here I'm up here saying I don't want to help. His podcast speaks black men. His podcast, Speak Black Man, focuses on ways to recruit, to retain, and empower black male educators. Lord have mercy. Okay, I'm gonna help Jason. I promise you, to advocate for social justice and equity while adding our perspective to various issues impacting us. His life work is centered on his family foundation, Lily's Foundation, supporting grandparents and seniors raising school-aged children. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present Jason B. Allen.
Good morning again, everyone. It is an honor to be here. This is my 21st year in education now. I'm in the policy space, so thank you. Yes, thank you. And I'm sharing that to say, someone please just do your hand like this, because I know the time frame, but I want to make sure that I stick with what I prepared and that I don't go over. So with that being said, I want to stick to my outline. I am very excited about this presentation because it's so timely with the work that I do for a nonprofit organization called the National Parents Union. We're not a traditional union. We don't work for the government. We work with them to hold them accountable and make sure that they're doing what they should be doing for the people. So this time last year, I was actually being attacked on Capitol Hill after testifying on behalf of grandparents and caretakers regarding Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP benefits, WIC, and so forth. Social programs are important. I know a lot of people think that's political, but when I think about who makes up those who sit in our faith-based institutions, our churches, and it's our grandmothers. Our deacons are our grandfathers, oftentimes, our godparents, our uncles, our great aunts. And so these are people who we love and are needed in our community, and they're a big part of our advocacy. So now, sticking to my outline, I have three things. I have a big question to ask everyone. I have three areas that I want to focus on, and then I want to give you my top five. If you haven't checked out my podcast before, I do a top 5 things that people need to know. And I want to make sure that I leave you all with top 5 things that parents and families need for the church in a time such as this. All right, so I'm old school. I wrote this down because notes are important. So I want to start here. Churches aren't separated from activism. A lot of people feel like, oh, that's for the nonprofits, that's for the community leaders. Churches aren't separated from activism. And I want to tell you, this is how they connect. Churches lead us with moral authority. Teachers can't do it all. I remember growing up, character building was led by the church. I'm old school, vacation Bible school, Sunday school, we still need those things. People say, oh, time has changed, it's not needed. No, baby, some people need to get up early in the morning so they can get what they need to live better. That's what's missing in our society. If I connect this to my everyday work, what I see in federal budget hearings and committees, I see greed. I don't see people that live out values of those who believe in God or who believe in Christ. So we are needed in these spaces. And how do you support your members who work in these spaces? Because that's important. Churches lead us in moral authority. That is needed. That's needed right now. So the question is, are we doing the right thing by all people? Because I'm going to have to come around some alleys that may be touchy, but we have an elitism problem in our country. And black people can be very elitist at times, right? So it's not just racism, but we also play a role in doing the right thing by all people, because Miss Mary, who lives on the other side of the tracks, who never graduated from high school, maybe had kids out of wedlock, she still deserves to get access to fresh water and food, right? So churches aren't separated from activism because churches serve as gathering spaces. Now, the doors of the church open for everybody to come in. That is the true question. Also, digital activism is important because that connects to the young people. And I can tell you right now, this is a different generation. It's certainly not my generation. They would say the world was coming to an end in the 90s because they were like, my generation was wild. But I think that this generation is showing us something, they're showing us something different. I also want to say this to listening ears. It's not the government or schools' jobs to teach our children character building and how to be good citizens. That's our responsibility. So don't let principals, don't let school board members tell you, oh, you don't have a place in the schools, because you actually do. Now, organizing is also evangelism. Go here with me. It really is. There's no difference between what nonprofit organizations are doing and what churches were commissioned to do. Organizing is evangelism because we're sharing a central message for the people, right? But it's also acts of service. Now, if your church isn't serving the people, then, hey, I don't know. I can't touch on that. But I will say that organizing is gathering people together for a common goal. And the church has always been the foundation for that. Now, I have 3 areas. I said it in my outline. Area number 1, providing service. Area number 2, providing shelter. And area number 3, providing support. Because this is what people are saying they need. And I'm passionate about this because what I see in government, based on the last census before the pandemic hit in 2020, there are over 80% of Americans who are not connected to churches or faith-based institutions, which means that there is a need. So if, churches are saying, oh, people aren't coming, well, people aren't coming for a reason. And I want to give that in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, right? Why are they not coming? But most importantly, how can we effectively reach them? So providing service. What's being offered to the people? Who are we serving? And who are we called to serve are 2 different things. Because people think that, well, we are serving people, but are you serving who you're called to serve? And a lot of people who are not being served, who need churches right now, are the poor. People don't like poor people. I'm just being honest. Data shows that we don't like poor people. I'm not saying us in this room, but people don't like poor people. They need us right now. The working poor and essential workers, they need us right now because guess what? If another pandemic happens, based off of what we're seeing with the flu, we don't have the workforce to support another pandemic. These are people who need us. Our neighbors, other cultures, people who may be Christian, but they lived in Africa or they're coming from Cuba. Their experience is different. They also need us. Those who need care. Now, I'm going to pause here just for a second because those who need care are what I remember to be in the church, the sick and shut-in list. How many people remember the sick? I always wondered who is actually caring for the sick and shut-in list. Well, that list seems to have grown tremendously across our country because Georgia ranks number 3 in having the highest need for caretakers and caregivers. That's a prime place for the church to grow because who is training these people? You can't just be able to provide a service. You have to be able to care. Okay, I got 1 more minute. Providing shelter. Is your space safe for people? What atmosphere are you creating? Now, being realistic, the Bible in modern times. Fun fact, you have to have a Lexile score of being in the 12th grade in order to really actually read the Bible and interpret it. That should scare everybody in this room because 48% of Americans, based off the last presidential election, were on a 5th grade level. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? So if we're talking about 5th grade literacy Lexile level, but you need a 12th grade level to understand and read the Bible, something isn't connecting, right? So we need support. So the Bible in modern times. But also, are we able to provide shelter, 2 more minutes, for multi-generational families, multicultural families, and displaced families? And that's important. My last minute, providing support, my top 5 things. I said I was going to give that, and I think I may have 30 seconds, so I can do that really quickly. Number 1, top 5 things that parents and families need from the church. Reliable childcare. If your church isn't offering childcare, you're missing reaching families, especially Black families. 2, summer programs. 3, Parenting resources. Stop pushing out the single moms and the single dads. They need churches more than ever right now. Number 4, emotional support. Therapy is not bad, but sometimes people need number 5, which is empathetic listening. People just need somebody to listen to them, and the church can offer that. So that was my talk. I think I'm right at time. I appreciate you all again, and thank you so much for this summit. Happy MLK Day.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jason. It's amazing because the piece that you might think I would get out of it, I didn't, but the piece that resonated with me is something that I know is missing in our community. You know, as leaders, we like to do a lot of the talking. You know, if we're honest, we and nothing's wrong with that. We're educated, we're knowledgeable, we're learned. So when you have all that in you, you're like, somebody gonna hear this $60,000 worth of education. Now, see, y'all can play game. I had some student loans. So somebody was going to hear me say something paying them loans back. I didn't get out them loans just to sit in a corner. But the piece that he talked about that I've told some other pastors that our people need, and we're very reluctant to offer this, is just a place they can come and be heard. We're very reluctant because we like to be heard. But I'm telling you, there's power in people just having a place, whether it be, and I'm not just going to keep picking on, because sometimes, you know, it seems like we think our community only have single mothers. Like, our community is so much more diverse. And we talk about single women, single mothers all the time, like that makes up who we are. We are a diverse people. But sometimes fathers need a place in your church to come on Mondays and just talk about what it's like to be a dad. What are their needs? What are their struggles? So I thank you, Jason, for that piece, because, and I'm not just saying that, that's a part of what this place is for. It was a reason we chose this community, because we want you to have a place where you can look at our schedule and know Monday nights might be men talks. Wednesday may be, you know, people who've been physically abused. Whatever it might be, that's this place. So I hope before you leave here today that we get your information, and then you will be willing to come back and give back to this community in that way, because all of you with these student loans have something to say, right? Did you want to say? Come on.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you so much for being a participant in Lead Talk today. We're so excited to have you. Before we bring our next speaker up, I just wanted to share a little bit of information about the Leadership Center and how that we kind of connect, because it was a wonderful talk that Jason just delivered. But I wanted to say I think the Leadership Center is a great example to some of the work that he spoke about. The Leadership Center serves as a community hub for leaders, right? And so we're celebrating ML King today. And of course, we are the great city of the civil rights movement, where many of the leaders from John Lewis to Andy Young to so many more gathered in safe spaces to talk about the issues that impacted Black people. And so that's one of the things that the Leadership Center wants to be a light in DeKalb County, to be a hub for leaders to come and do training and development, to host workshops and meetings. And so if you would like to connect with us, there is a link or a barcode or a QR code that should show up right below me. And Janae, if you can put it right behind us. Anyone that's in the audience, if you're hosting an event and you want to have a meeting here, scan the QR code and learn more about what the Leadership Center offers. Our calendar opens up in February, where you are able to see all the different events that we have upcoming and ways that we have partnered with the community and partnered with community leaders. So thank you so much, Jason, for that. I just wanted to share that sentiment. Also, the Lead Talk agenda for today, if you're following along with us and want to know about each speaker, please make sure you scan the QR code so you can learn about them as well. I'm going to turn the mic back over to our lead visionary, Tony, as he gets ready to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you so much, sweetheart. She's just so cute to me. I try not to do that in moments like this, but I'm just telling you, I'm smitten. I always say, don't say anything. Don't say anything. But then my little heart is like, but she cute though. You got to say something. So that's just me being a husband. Forgive me. But 21 years this year. And yes. And she doesn't like to brag and boast. And I'm not a boastful person, but I do like to give credit to where credit is due. And I want to openly say that when I cast whatever vision I had, I was 5th grade. She was the college student. I told her what I saw, but this woman saw things I couldn't imagine. I want to say to the brothers, honor your wife. Love them. They can see. I know that you've been taught to walk around like, with your chest out. But I'm telling you, there's no one more brilliant than a black woman. And I'm just telling you, what you see in here today, I gave my little, what I thought I saw. And when she finished, I was like, now, do you mind if I take some credit? Because they can't think I don't know nothing, baby. So I want to publicly say it's a joy to follow your leadership and how much you mean to me. So I love you. Man, I'm getting all sentimental. Let me bring up my pastor up here so we can get this thing. Listen, our next speaker is going to try not to preach because he is a preacher. So he's already preached at his church to try to get all that out of him because he's a preacher. But Pastor McCoy, Chief of Staff of Commissioner Meredith Davis Johnson, DeKalb County, Georgia. He's a native of Decatur, Georgia. So he's an ATLian, as we would say it. And he was born to pastors Michael and Gwendolyn McCoy. So we knew that he would be a preacher, except for his bio says he had a 90% chance that he would not survive at birth. Look at God. But God saw this day. And so he lives by the motto, I was born for this, in order to show others that they can defeat the odds stacked against them. He is a learned man with a Bachelor's of Arts degree from the illustrious Payne College in Augusta, Georgia. He pledged Alpha Phi Alpha. He completed his Master's of Science degree from Brenu University. And he has studied in the area of pastoral counseling at Agassiz University. I know that he will want to share just a little bit about his significant other, but without further ado, let's give Pastor McCoy a warm welcome to the stage.
To Pastor Tony and Pastor Alicia, I want to say I do understand what it means to be smitten. Because my wonderful bride of this year will be 10 years, Dr. Mariah Crew McCoy is with me today, and I'm so glad to have her here. She's an educator, a leader in her own right and regard, and I almost feel like you took the exact words that I would say about her. if you can pull the presentation up, I'll go ahead and get started. I want to begin with a story about a man whose name, let me ask you this, does this control? Thank you so much. A man whose name is Bernard. Bernard was a man who had been homeless for 7 years. Not 7 weeks, not 7 days, but 7 years. He lived out of his car. He showered whenever and wherever he could. And he was often rejected not because of who he was, but because of his situation. Like any pastor, when I saw Bernard, I would invite him in. I would invite him into our services. And as we talked, I realized something that caused me to be honest with myself and honest with the existing structure and systems of our churches today. It was an honesty that was uncomfortable. Bernard's need was greater than what our church could tangibly provide. Yes, we could pray for him. Yes, we could feed him. Yes, we could clothe him. Yes, we could encourage him. But Bernard did not need compassion. He needed access. At that time, I'd been working in local government for about 2 years after serving in the federal government. I understood how human services worked. I knew that there were pathways to housing. And not long after that, he qualified for permanent housing. Weeks later, Bernard found me again, came to our church, parked his car that he'd been sleeping in outside of the church. And he did not quote a scripture. He did not give a long speech. He simply said, "Pastor, I haven't had my own place in 7 years. I took a hot shower in my own bathroom. I slept in my own bed." And it was at that moment that it became abundantly clear to me that wasn't just policy, that was ministry. That experience forced me to wrestle with a deeper question. When Jesus said, "Feed my sheep," what did he really mean? Because Jesus didn't tell Peter where to feed the sheep. He didn't tell them how to feed the sheep. He just said, "Make sure my sheep are fed." What if feeding the sheep is not limited to what happens inside the church alone? What if some of the pastures used to feed sheep are systems of government? We often say we have dominion. We often say and declare that we are the head and not the tail. We pray, "Thy kingdom come." But here is the tension. How can we have dominion in the earth and refuse to occupy positions that shape it? I feel a personal call to ministry and policy. Dominion was never about domination. Dominion was about stewardship, responsibility, leadership, influence. Bernard didn't need dominion shouted at him or shouted around him. He needed dominion practiced on his behalf. A seat that some refuse to take is a seat that someone else will fill. I serve as a pastor. I serve in local government as a chief of staff. And I realized something very quickly, that the same people that we pray for on a Sunday are the same people that are impacted by decisions made on Monday and Tuesday. I realize that they're the same families, the same seniors, the same young people that my wife serves in her school, the same families who are impacted. So I stopped seeing government as a separate from ministry, but it actually became the mission field of which I do the ministry God's called me to do. The church does not have to replace government, but we are called to partner with wisdom. Let me make this real for just a moment for you. Human services help stabilize families, seniors, youth, individuals facing housing insecurity and instability, food access issues, and social instability. Many churches pray for the needs that already have programs attached to them. They just don't know it. Community development corporations, or CDCs, help create affordable housing, economic opportunity, and neighborhood revitalization. Sometimes the issue isn't vision, it's infrastructure. And programs like the Police Athletic League that provide mentorship, prevention, and safe spaces for young people before crisis hits. If we truly care about the next generation, we must show up before the problem becomes permanent. Partnership is not compromise. Partnership is stewardship. Charity meets moments. Leadership builds systems. Legacy changes generations. The church is not called to be a temporary relief system from week to week, from Sunday to Sunday. We are called to be a long-term solution that partners for people. When Jesus said, "Feed my sheep," he wasn't limiting ministry to pulpit. He was calling us to feed people spiritually, socially, structurally. Bernard didn't just need prayer, he needed leadership. Your pulpit, your ministry, your church is not your limit. It's your launch pad. So today I implore you to lead different, build legacy, feed the sheep wherever they may be. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you.
Well, now you see why the people love Pastor. An amazing talk. Come on, let's give it to him one more. Come on. So the thing that just hit me, and I don't know about you, was wherever you're at is not your limit, it's your launch pad. That's amazing. Because it erases excuses as to why you can't, because wherever you're at, it's your launch pad. Today, I know that Elisha LV2 has to come up and give some announcement, but I just want to say something before she comes up that I think is very important, because I know it's the panel is the next thing that we're going to do. We're going to have everybody who was up here speaking, and you're going to be able to ask them questions about their area of expertise. But I want to say this because I see a lot of great leaders in the room, and I'm going to ask that we promote something within our culture which is competency over competition. Competency, if you know it or I know it better, don't allow my competency to be competition. Invite me in. I invite you in because that's your area of expertise, and I'm not threatened by your gift, your talent, because someone like Mr. Bernard, he could care less about our ego. He just know he needs help. And oftentimes what happens what blocks success oftentimes in helping people is this competitive idea that if I let you in my arena, that somehow I'm less. So I would love for all of us, and if you were one of our presenters today, please come up and have a seat. We're gonna have a panel where they can ask you some questions about whatever things that you talked about. So come on up, please. There you go. Thank you. So yeah, so that's important to lead visionary to and myself, that competency is more important than competition. So when you all are ready, you can ask whatever questions or whatever it is that you would like to our panel.
What an amazing talk this morning. I am so inspired by what has been said this morning. For Mr. Jason Allen, because I am a grandparent and I have 15 grandkids and I try to be there for all of them. I love the fact that you were talking about the community, because I do see what you're talking about. I'm also in the school system too with kindergartners, and I do see grandparents having to raise their grandchildren because of whatever circumstances. But what I want to know from your perspective, being that you're in the trenches, what can I do here at the Leadership Center to help my community? Because that's me. I used to own 2 daycare centers, but like the young lady was speaking about her business, that happened to me too. And I gave up. I was like, ah! But I want to rebuild. The faith is there, but I want to be able to service the community, like you said, on the grandparent level, and just give my love to other children. We ran a summer camp that was amazing. I would love to do that again, and take the kids on trips and stuff and educate them, because they loved it. Even the parents loved it. But I want to be able to help the Leadership Center launch that again. So kind of give us some insight on what is really needed in the community at this day and time.
Awesome. So I'm going to do that in 1 minute, 60 seconds. It's strictly about building a team. You have to have the right people commissioned to do the work on your team. This is also, as I mentioned, evangelism. So there are going to be people that come into, your houses of worship that are members, but they're spending the majority of their time. They may not be at the meetings. They may miss a Sunday because they're actually in community doing the work. And that truly is what outreach evangelism is. It's not for us to keep the ideas and the work inside of the 4 walls of the church, but to take that out into community and to make impact in how, again, people are living. So I would say definitely, starting there with building your team, and hopefully I'll be back to do some deeper workshops on planning.
Hope is not a strategy. So he's going to be back. Anybody else got a question or even a statement? Okay, over here. And then we got one on this side.
To Mr. Allen. So I think the situation with grandparents, I'm over here, has been I don't want to say necessarily a recent or new phenomenon, but how do you see that the churches have been handling it thus far? And are we putting the programs in place to address it? So I'm looking at what are the gaps. I know that from a policy standpoint that it's becoming, again, I think we see more, even in DeKalb County, different programs to assist grandparents taking care of the grandkids. But are we as a church body, are we doing better to kind of cover the gap in that area?
So I like this question, gaps, and I'm sure we're probably seeing this in our professional work. AI and advanced technology is a gap. And it's not necessarily just the seniors. Let me also say that. It's not just the seniors. I have a lot of colleagues who are fellow teachers that are like, I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to use this tool. I serve on the president's, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have did that. I serve on the president's AI advisory board. And one of the things that I would say, being one of the only black people of color who's on this board, is that there's a gap with connecting the dots to the resources and the workforce. So AI people are using it as a fear to say, oh, it's replacing us. We don't even have an infrastructure. Our highways are still falling apart. So AI is not taking over humans tomorrow, or that's not even the goal of what a lot of the ed tech and big tech companies are doing. But bringing in technology in different ways to reach different people is a huge gap area.
And the thing about it is that people like Jason, we have another gentleman named Raphael, and anybody who really understands AI, we are partnering with them, calling them to come here, to offer those classes, to help people in this community. And it's interesting because both of them just volunteered. They know that it's needed. But I'd also like to say to everyone in this room something Jason said. You have to turn off of TikTok, Facebook, wherever you get your news from, and stop listening to those fear mongers about AI. I'm telling you, the fear that's being pushed out there about AI is going to be detrimental to our community. And if it's fear-based, age-based, race-based, where you're just like, I'm telling you, it reminds me of how far behind we are in wealth investment. People don't understand this, but black people for a long time and listen to me, grandma them didn't mean any harm, granddad didn't mean, but you heard a lot about what you could lose growing up when it came to investing. Who other than me? You would always hear, don't lose your money because they're gonna, and so that stuff plays in your mind to the point to where now, for every $100,000 that white family has in investment, and this is not just race, is mindset, we've got about 10,000. So we're talking, for every 100,000, there are 90,000, and a lot of it is race, but some of it is just when you continue to hear negativity about a subject matter, eventually you succumb to that. Don't do that with AI, because I'm telling you, you're going to regret not embrace. I'm just telling you, I've embraced it. There's some areas in my life. I'm an AI music artist. A lot of people's like, oh, well, if you understand what I've learned in embracing that, 5 years from now, if you're not an AI music artist, you're not going to be an artist. So I thank you for sharing that. Barbara had a.
Good morning. I have a question to Pastor here.
Which one?
Not you.
What do you mean, not me? I'm a pastor too. You just said
Pastor McCoy.
Okay. She's like, not you. Like, okay. And that's one of my own.
I love you, though. As a senior citizen, that's not a real senior citizen because I have to remind myself how old I am sometimes. What are some of the ways that I could reach other senior citizens who just seem to have given up?
One of the things that I mentioned in my talk was about human services. And I don't think, for example, in DeKalb County, we have human services that serves seniors, that serves youth, that serves those in between. An extension of the senior services is that we have what's called senior centers in DeKalb. We have Lew Walker, we have Bruce Street, we have some in the north, we have some in Atlanta. And I think building partnership, beginning with just reaching out to human services, say, hey, we want to be a partner with you all so that we can share whatever it is that you want, come and volunteer, you want to share some hope. Because I think a lot of times from the church perspective, it's you said something earlier about competition, and it's not even about competition. It's more so about just building the relationships, because if you build the relationships, then you have the entry into the door to reach some of those people that you're talking about who may be at our senior centers. And the reason that they come to the senior centers is because they feel they have no one else to talk to throughout the week, or they come there because they need a meal, or they come there because they need fellowship. When that's a great thing that senior services does it, that's really what we're called to do as church. And they may not necessarily reach out to us to tell us because for whatever reason, over time, maybe they stopped going, or maybe they never went, maybe they stopped driving, or those various things. But I think just reaching out to make the connection, and one of the things I talked about with Bernard is meeting them where they are, going to them. And so there are a lot of opportunities, I know, certainly, to partner with senior services, human services, etc. And I think that that's an opportunity for churches to take. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is for the three guests, and Pastor Rem, you can answer it too. You probably already did.
I mean, what am I? Sliced liver? What? No, I'm okay. It's fine. Go ahead.
What can we do as a black people to create or strengthen community and economy amongst ourselves, so that we can improve our chances of changing our social, economic, and moral legacies?
Could you say that one more time?
Yeah. What can we do as a black people to create or strengthen community and economy among ourselves, so that we can improve our chances of changing our social, economic, and moral legacy?
I believe that everything starts at home. I think the kid said it earlier. Say your name. Jason. In regards to just, we shouldn't be relying on our principals and our teachers. That it's a lot of things that I think it's, parents, it's a busy, times are different now. I mean, we have parents parents have always been working, but I think more reliance has been put on teachers, even on the internet. Our kids are being raised not by the parents as they used to. And so I think we definitely need to sit around the dinner table more, eat together more. Just those small things, so we can have time to have face-to-face time, and opposed to having the phones at the table with us, having the TV on. We need to turn the TV off. We need to put the phones aside and really just start to get to know one another more, and have those grounding conversations. That is where where you build those foundations for wealth, for empowerment, and really just and it really, to me, it's as simple for me as that. And just to your point, Pastor Tony, is, stop listening to the fear, and just really and not operate in a spirit of fear, and just again, that's where I would say start, at home at the dinner table. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say Dr. Anderson. I wrote down, okay, perfect. I wrote down something from you actually, which is change is unfamiliar but necessary for the process. And one of the things that I would do with my former students now is, I would merge old school and new school, right? So this morning I was with the seniors. We played bingo early. And we started this early, so I was with them early, because they're former educators, civil rights leaders, and they feel like I did my time, but I still want to be present in community. So we have to think about how we reach people differently. I also will say that there's this notion around church hurt that a lot of people are facing, which is why I believe that there's a huge disconnection in our community and what that means. But people need healing. I think people are missing the true connection to God and what that means, which is why I loved your point. The phones are raising the children. The Holy Ghost is not in the phone. So they're missing compassion. That is why, a lot of kids, black kids, are killing themselves, because they're trying to find what they need to be finding in their parents, what they're missing from being connected to a church and community from an iPad, from a phone, listening to a YouTube ad that is telling you that, oh, you don't have any friends, so you shouldn't be here. Well, that's seasonal. People, that all that changes, but we're not connected. So I think an old school method is sometimes just walking right in this parking lot and seeing people walk around. Hey, ma'am, how you doing? People don't even speak to each other. So it's really small things that we could do that have worked in the past and bridging that gap to the future.
Did you know that the local government here in DeKalb County has an over $3 billion budget? $3 billion with a B budget. That's a local government. Based in that $3 billion budget, out of every major contract that goes out, there's a requirement called the LSBE, which is an ordinance that was passed by DeKalb County Local Small Business Entrepreneurship Ordinance, which says that there has to be a minority firm attached to every major contract. And we live in these communities. We talk about the services, what we get, what we don't get. We talk about all of these things, but the real reality is that we could be doing business with the same government that we pay taxes to. And I don't think people realize the magnitude of that, because when you go back to Atlanta days, when Maynard Jackson was mayor, there were more black millionaires made by virtue of the Atlanta airport and his work to lead that than we ever will know. And I say that because government, I go back to what I spoke on. Government, sometimes people see government as the enemy. Government as, whatever way you see it, depending on how you were raised to see it. I was raised to see everything as an opportunity. Even if it is an obstacle, how do you see it as an opportunity? And so when I think about how we change the socioeconomic of our community, we have businesses, but we need to go back to collaboration and not competition, so that we can see where opportunity exists to expand our businesses. I see people come before the commission every day, contract signed, and I say to myself very quietly, man, I'm in the wrong business. When you see the contracts and the amount of money approved at one board meeting, and so I say to people, look and see the opportunities that exist in even the community you live in, the local government there.
Got another question over there.
I wanted just to say, on that, I just thought about Arthur Ashe. He has a saying, start with where you are, work with what you have, and do what you can. And I think we need to, it's simple as that, instead of thinking that we don't have or, you know, if I had this, I would. Start with what you have. And I think that's also want to close as far as your question.
Absolutely. And again, all of these amazing people, I'm automatically assigning them to help do the work here, because even what Pastor just shared, I can guarantee you 99% of the people online or in the room did not know that. So that's already life-changing information right there. Like, you could leave today and your life is already changed by the fact of the information. He gave you the name of the, he said it's DeKalb County. He gave you the name of the program. So now he can't come Google it for you.
Right.
So we have to really understand that today you're seeing why this place is important, the Leadership Center, because of just what these three speakers have said. Could take you at least 6 months to take, like, you need 6 months to do all the things they said. So imagine if we fill this place with people with that knowledge, care about the poor. A kid growing up in Bankhead Court, the poor is important to me. I always tell people I want to help them. Now, I don't want to be them, but I want, no, okay. But I want to help them. I care. See? So this is my way of saying I give back. So this is the place, and I'm going to push it like this because you, if you're looking at us online, you have something. Don't say I'm not as educated as Pastor. I'm not as educated as Letitia. Did I get it right, Letitia? Katisha. Okay, Katisha. And I've talked to her numerous times, but when I said, anyway, I'm not as educated. I don't have the business acumen. So there's something God has in you that nobody else can talk about. Bring it here.
But even if you don't have those things, God is all-knowing. Yeah. God is wise. So everybody on this stage offers something different. So if I don't have it, actually I do have it, because there's three people right here that have it. And so I want to make sure people understand, you know, my pastor did this. Our family's foundation is 10 years ago. I'll never forget that he, you know, basically prophesied out into the congregation that we're going to raise up a generation of business leaders and community leaders. And there were 7 of us who went out and started nonprofit organizations, all turning 10 years old last year. And we solved the problem. But we didn't have it all. We didn't have the funding. We didn't have the teams. But we knew and believed in what pastors were doing. Sometimes it takes pastors to say, you know what, this is what needs to happen. Now, the next step is you got to develop a plan. And that's how this whole thing is coming together. So if you know 5 people, if you know 5 pastors, if you know 5 pastors, in June, we should be assembling back here, because what are our tangible takeaways? How many community centers how many of these centers are we actually replicating?
And I want to say this because as I thought about what you said about being raised in the area, you know, you talked in my introduction. I would say a major part of my life actually happened right here off of Covenant Highway. Wow. I went to elementary school less than half of a mile from here. I went to middle school at Bethune Middle School. I went to high school at Miller Grove High School right there on Covenant Highway. My church is off of Covenant Highway right now. And I say that to say that sometimes when we look at the book, we misjudge the book by what we're seeing. Yes. And I tell people I'm a product of this community. Yeah. And so if I'm able to do and be where I've been, I say to every younger person that's currently in these situations in schools that my wife works in, my wife is from Washington, Georgia. How many of y'all have ever been there or heard of it? Yeah. Yeah. Wilkes County. And my wife is one of the only 2 maybe black folks with a doctorate degree from her high school. Wow. Yeah. And I say that not even for I say that because we have to remind ourselves as we celebrate King Day today, from whence we have come,
Yes.
where we've already been, we can go there again.
Yes.
You know, in terms of just the level of that we've ascended to. So I wanted to say that.
Go right ahead.
Hello. So I just have a statement actually, because one of the things that Katesha said resonated in me, especially being a part of this ministry. And when you stated that change does not create leaders, it reveals them. That touched me because of my leaders. And just since I became a part of this ministry and the different changes that we have gone through, and seeing the way that they kept us strong, faithful, committed, and knowing that they will not lead us astray.
Wow.
So that really touched me, because a lot of times, like she stated, that fire could have disrupted everything in her life and she could have just thrown in the towel. But that fire was the reset that she had been praying for. And that's what I feel about the Leadership Center, because even our leaders, when we first walked into this space, and past visionary Alicia and myself, we do have the ability to see past what the eyes can see. But a lot of us don't. They think that everything has to shine from the beginning. So to use all the talent that we had in-house, like you just stated, use what's tangible to you. And it will happen because you have that faith. And that just resonated with me. So thank you for that statement.
Absolutely. So, you know, as we close out this amazing moment, I feel that the thing that Jason just said challenges us, which is, where will we be in 6 months? What will be our convene? Will we allow this moment to just pass and say, that was a great day? Or will we connect and say, no, this is a lifetime opportunity? And so I raise my hand to say that I join you, Jason, in saying this is a lifetime opportunity that we're going to work together. Competency over competition. There was another word, collaboration.
Collaboration.
Collaboration over. I always use competency only because sometimes when people think you know more than them, they think they shouldn't collaborate with you. Well, that's the person you should. You know, I like run to them. Like this guy right here, if he allows me, I'm getting ready to be his new BFF. Because I know when I come into the presence of greatness, my wife is already in relationship with these two amazing people. So by virtue of that, I'm in relationship with them. I'm not in any way threatened. I'm excited because they have something I don't. That means my life has just gone to another level. Think like that. Make this place, because we will be, and we're working towards, and it takes the people, we know that, but faith makes all things possible. We're working towards this place being open just like any other retail space. So if you're in DeKalb, you pull that door, you're partnering with us, you just walk in and you get you a cup of coffee or Danish. So I want you to put that in your mind even as you leave here today, because that's what kind of place this will be. So you don't knock, you just open the door because you're in partnership with us. Our community, we're wanting that. And so that's what this means. Come on up, honey, with me and close it out, because it always mattered to me that we hear your voice. Come on up. I got it.
Thank you so much. As they are getting the set ready to transition out, we want to thank you, those of you that have been joining us virtually. We have had an amazing time this morning at Lead Talk 2026 ML King celebration. I'm so happy to have all the speakers to have joined us and poured out today and shared their gifts. And so we're so excited to continue the work of MLK, which means Martin Luther King Jr., which means today is a day on, not a day off. Pour back into the community in some aspect or nature. One of the things some people don't realize that historically the church was one of the first universities before there were any HBCUs that we were able to attend. The church stood for a place where people came to get educated. That's where a place for where we exchanged information. That's a place where we empowered the people. And so we are going to continue to do that work with collaboration with other ministries, with other community organizations, also with other leaders in the community. And so if you know someone that needs to connect with the Leadership Center, again, that QR code is right behind me for those of you that are here. And for those of you that are watching, please just click the link and make sure you connect with the Leadership Center, because we're looking for new sponsors, we're looking for new partners, and we're looking for new collaborators here in 2026. Before I leave it, I'll be remiss if I don't do a shameless plug about plan. I heard someone said something about planning, and my little spidey antennas went up. Recently, I created a Make Room Planner, which is a women leadership planner for leaders. Yes. You know, I spend a lot of time working with women leaders. Myself, I am a woman leader in business, but my business, I spent most of my time empowering others and working with different coaches and CEOs and C-suite executives, and we all have something in common, right? We get up very early, we exercise, and we plan and we work on our agendas. And so this year I decided that I wasn't going to buy another one, that I was going to create my own. And so that's what I did. And I created it with women leaders in mind. Now, originally it was supposed to be for all leaders, but my husband tagged me and said, you know what, your audience is women, and men, we just don't buy planners like that. And so I surveyed all my male friends, and all of them felt overwhelmed when I started talking to them about the planner. And they said, you know, well, Cash, just send me a link to a meeting, you know. And so that's why I said, well, I got away from the written thing. But us women, you know, we are the masterminds of how, you know, this thing works. And so I know that we still like to turn pages and write things down. And so there is a link somewhere behind me, or Janae will put it up, where if you are looking to learn how to not only just be a great planner, but make sure that your plans align with God, and that you make room with Him, then you can purchase the planner, and all proceeds 100% benefit. No. We don't, because the launching party is January 31st.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But I'll let the people here see it, though. I do have a copy, and I'll share it. But 100% of the proceeds go to the Leadership Center and all of the community initiatives that we have here. So we have leadership resources right here at the Leadership Center that allows us to pour back into the space and the people that will be here. Also, there is a song track that comes along with the planner. And so as you are carving out time to make room for God, to make room for your strategy, you can have that song as you're planning, mapping, and strategizing out your year and day. And so I just wanted to do a shameless plug on that. But thank you again so much for connecting to the Leadership Center. Give it up for all the speakers. Lead Talk 2026 was amazing. So follow us on all of our social media channels in order to connect with us in our future programs that we have upcoming this year. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So Janae, as you close that out, I just want to remind you that, and I think everyone in here understands this, you can't do these things off of making a wish. I wish we could do these things and they didn't cost, lights and the food we give the community, but it does. And I'm okay with it because our God has everything we need. So I want to ask you to partner with us. If you see on the screen how to give, if you're here today and God has placed on your heart to help us give back to this community, do more, please don't sign off today and not give, but don't leave today. If you are able to give, we'll show you how to do that, because I believe that this is a worthy cause to give back to. So thank all of you for what you're doing. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. Making an amazing Monday. Again, it's a day on, not a day off. Do something good in your particular city. Thank you. Have a great one. Bye-bye.